Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. My name is Becca Dukes, and I am excited to be able to bring more empowering information to you as an individual. As today we are going to be talking with Dr. Dirt, Mr. Richard Renton, who is a chemist, authority in plant-derived minerals, and we're going to be looking at what sets the longevity products apart from the rest, as they do include, many of them include, as it is part of kind of like the brand of longevity, and that is the prehistoric trace minerals. Because folks, minerals are the currency of life. Without minerals, it has been proven that there are over 600 different poor health conditions directly linked to mineral deficiencies. So if you're low in minerals and you've got a lot of stuff going on that's not really what you want to have happening in your body, you're in the right place, because we are going to be providing information that could be that solution to help you find a better health journey. Now, this program is a resource for an amazing community who just have a passion to help people. Whether they are individuals just wanting to help their neighbors and communities, whether they're coaches, health coaches, physical therapists, doctors of physical therapy, surgeons, yes, even surgeons, folks, are finding the benefits of minerals, naturopath physicians, medical doctors, massage therapists, aromatherapists, folks, the list goes on and on of the individuals who really, truly want to find the best way to help their clientele. And that is what we're all about as well. So folks, if you are watching this program because you were invited by somebody specific, they're going to be your point of contact. They are the person that you get back to. And get back to them no matter what. Tell them thank you for sharing this program with you. Let them know that what value you found in it and that you actually did plug in as they recommended. Now, if there is nobody to thank, we do have an amazing team of certified holistic health coaches at 855-949-3377. And at the end of this show, if you have questions in regards to the topic, make sure that you raise your hand early or submit it into the comments, as we do have people on our co-host team who are watching out on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and other different platforms for individuals' questions so that we can get answers. Now, if you are on any platform other than here live with us in the Zoom, because yes, we are live Monday through Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific time at zoom.dailywithdoc.com. If you're out there watching us as a replay or live stream and you want to be here with us, absolutely. Jump on over to zoom.dailywithdoc.com from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific time. So without further ado, this program is being sponsored by dailywithdoc.com, where you will find a good foods, bad foods list. You will also find a store, but that is for people who either know their preferred customer number, because you do get a discount as a preferred customer, or brand new. So there's so much to offer there. I just love it as it's growing, and even have previous shows. Now, the guest that we have on today is a chemist. He is a professional in the sports nutritional realm. He is also one of the original formulators within the Longevity brand. And he brings a wealth of information as we are going to be digging deep into Dirt with Dr. Dirt, talking about plant minerals, trace minerals, and what it is that sets the Longevity products apart from the rest. So, Dr. Dirt, Richard, welcome to Daily with Doc. Thank you so much for joining us today. And you are just absolutely fantastic on your knowledge and everything that you bring to the table. So I greatly appreciate that you spend some time with us a couple times a month in making sure that we get this knowledge across to the importance of minerals. So, Richard, as we're getting started here, what is it that sets plant-derived minerals, whether it's micro, macro, trace, that we offer with the Longevity products? What's the difference?
So there's over 60 minerals that your body requires. And as you mentioned, some of them are major. You need quite a bit of calcium, 1,200 milligrams typically, magnesium, phosphate, and those. And you typically, when you look at a supplement fact panel, you'll see those in the top section, because there's daily values, which means the minimum, not the maximum, not even the average, but the minimum that you should take. And you see those there. But there's still a whole bunch of those minerals that you just need a micron or two. And the disadvantage that we have in many generations back, let me take a step back, you could get a majority of those in your diet by eating fresh fruits and vegetables. But because the way we farm now, and we don't put anything back in our soil other than NPK, nitrogen phosphate, our soil is becoming more and more deficient. And as probably most people know, a plant can't make a mineral. You can make a vitamin, but it can't make a mineral. So if it isn't in the soil that it's growing in, then you're not going to get it. And the best example I can give is that selenium, typically, which helps prevent cardiomyopathy, heart attacks, and other forms of heart attack, is only in the Dakotas and up in Montana. It's nowhere else in the United States. And if you think about it, if you look at the East Coast and you look at cardiovascular disease, the southern East Coast and the belt are probably the worst areas in the United States because they don't get any selenium and they like fried food down there. And if you start to put all these things together, you could see how this happens. So the only way you get selenium is if you get your vegetables from the Dakotas or outside the United States. If you get them out of California, no selenium. And so one of the reasons why we call them dietary supplements is that the idea is that you supplement a good diet. And so you only need to help prevent cardiovascular disease and certain cancers is 200 micrograms, not even a milligram, 200 micrograms a day. How do you get that? All along with all the other trace minerals that we have in our plant-derived minerals, you get it in trace amounts. And in our plant-derived minerals, we have 600 milligrams of these combined trace minerals. And if you go to youngevity.com and you go to the resource center, you can find a breakdown of the minerals in each bottle. And we're totally honest. We'll even tell you if there's lead in there, and we'll even tell you there's mercury. And I can tell you there really isn't any good reason to have those minerals in there, but it's only 1 or 2 parts per billion. That's with a B, billion. And so to try to remove it is very, very costly and almost impossible. There was some studies done of the California water system, and they had up to 12 to 18 parts per billion in their water. So if you think you're getting away from it because you drink municipal water, you're not. Some of the worst water has large amounts. The other thing to keep in mind when we talk about selenium especially is that we say selenium. That's just the element of selenium. If you've seen the movie with Erin Brockovich, and she talks about the poison that poisoned the community, it's Hexa something, and I should probably memorize the word, but it's a whole compound, not just selenium, but a whole compound that makes it carcinogenic and very toxic to human bodies. Straight selenium is fine. Dr. Wallach, I want to say 35 years ago, went to Malan to China and did some research on a community that had unusually high cancer rate in this one form of cancer. And when he was there, he studied the soil and he studied their diet and the food in the diet, and he realized they were getting absolutely no selenium. So they did a trial basis for a year by giving the people in the village selenium to see if they could reduce the amount of this particular style of cancer. And it dropped dramatically. You know, when you have him on tomorrow, you can ask him how much. Off the top of my head, I don't know, so I'm not going to make the claim. But, you know, that's when we started to realize that selenium will help prevent certain cancers. And it's one of the benefits. And so if I were to share the screen for you, let's see if I can figure out how to do this really quick. And I click on this and I click on this. This is the supplement fact panel of the plant-derived minerals. And as you can see, it's 600 milligrams. And that comes from a humic shale deposit, which a nice way to say a humic shale deposit is an ancient compost pile. Because what it is that it was in southern Utah, and millions of years ago, we had vegetation and it was full of these trace minerals, and the vegetation would fall to the ground and new trees would grow and fall to the ground and new trees would grow, and hundreds of years. And then they flooded that part that naturally was flooded, and a thin layer of limestone was compressed on top of it and pancaked it so that 100 years worth of vegetation was about an inch thick. And so we have a deposit that has about 12 feet of limestone on it, and it has about 25 feet, 30 feet of this humic shale deposit, this ancient compost pile. And what we do is we harvest it, not from top to bottom, but front to back, so that we get a even amount of each mineral throughout the years that we work it. And we basically make sun tea with it, which is called osmosis. And when we do that, we take the humic shale and we pull out a high percentage of what's called fulvic acid, which is the plant-derived minerals, along with some of the humic shale, and we filter it, and we have it in this water, and then we put it through UV sterilization, and we pasteurize it, and we bottle it. There's no chemicals involved in making our plant-derived minerals. And then from there, we have it in a concentrate, and we bottled it. Now, if you really want to get more information about the plant-derived minerals, a good source is on YouTube. It's called Longevity Mineral Mine Tour. And you'll see my face on there, along with Taylor, who owns the mine. And we talk about the process, and you see the machinery that's involved in the mining and the extract of the fulvic acid, and all the way up to the testing that they do there, as well as down the road when Dr. Wallach has the testing done when it makes it to the bottling plant. And you can just get tons and tons of information. So the plant-derived minerals is really the base of almost all products. All our multivitamins, we have flavored plant-derived minerals with cherry and kiwi. We have it in powders, we have it in sticks, and we have it in a wide variety of different forms, and sometimes they're in different amounts. So what Dr. Wallach designed when we first started the company back in '96, decided that along with the scientific board, decided that 600 milligrams was a great daily dose for beginning adults. And that if they weigh 200 pounds, they would need more, but it's a good starting point. And that's why in the plant-derived minerals, you see the amount of 600. Now, in some of the other products, like some of the BTTs and some of the Tangy Tangerine, Ultra Body Toddy, Ultimate Classic, or Ultimate Classic has 600, but you'll see 300 milligrams of trace minerals. And in some of the products, you'll see it down in other ingredients, like an OsteoFX, where it's 125 milligrams of trace minerals. And the idea that we were doing is that when people were starting to take combinations of these products, that they would be getting closer and closer to that 600 number when they were taking products like the Healthy Start Pack. Then I'm going to share another screen with you. Hopefully I'll do this right. And we'll go like this, and we'll go like this, and we'll go like this. And you'll all get to see the Trace Ultimate Mineral Caps. And you'll see that we have plant-derived minerals at 300 milligrams. And then you'll see Aqua-Mins seaweed, which is another natural source of trace minerals. And there's a reason why we did this. And if I explain it to you, it'll be kind of aha moment. Two main reasons. The first reason is that when you try to import this in a foreign country and you say it's plant-derived minerals, they want to know what plant it's from. It's a very common question. They always throw it at you because they know if it's from fulvic acid, there's no way you're going to be able to answer the question, because we don't know exactly what vegetation it came from millions of years ago. We could give an idea, but then they'll ask how much from each plant, and it becomes a problem. So we put Aqua-Mins seaweed in there because then when they ask them what plant it's from, we say from the aqua seaweed. And they go, oh, and they accept it. So it allows us to get it in foreign countries such as Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, and the majority of the EU. The other main reason is if any of you know about Prop 65 in California, it had a carcinogenic limit on certain ingredients, one of which is lead. And if it said you had 3 parts per billion of lead, you had to put a warning on the bottle unless you're a municipal water supply within California, and they were skipped. They didn't have to do it. So we were right at 3 parts per billion. But when we took the algae, seaweed, and we added it to it, it dropped it down to 2, and we no longer had to put the warning on the label. And so in that particular product, as well as other products, you'll see that we do the blend, and that's to either A, allow us to get into foreign countries, or B, bypass the warning on the Prop 65 measure. Have I lost you, Rebecca? You kind of have a blank look on your face.
No, that was did not know, which I think is very important information. So just if you could do a quick little recap, say that one more time. I mean, I know with California, when we place orders, we always have that disclaimer pop up.
It's
And it
Prop
scares people.
65, Proposition 65 in California. And they have a list of, I think it's 300 different carcinogenic chemicals, one of which is lead in any form. And they put limits. And if you're over that limit, you have to put a warning on the label or on the website stating that it has the potential of being carcinogenic. The plant-derived minerals that we have is right at that minimum limit. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the water supplies within California exceed that by 4, 5, 6 times that amount, but it doesn't count to them. Also, if you're a company and you have less than 25 employees, it doesn't count for you. Don't ask me why, it's just the way the law is written. And if you're caught selling a product and not putting the warning on it, anybody in the United States can sue you in a class action lawsuit to warn you. So we have Prop 65 warnings, as you mentioned, on it. The Aquamin seaweed has less than 1 part per billion. And so when you blend 280 milligrams of the seaweed and 300 milligrams of the fulvic acid, which is the plant-derived minerals, together to make a 580 milligram formula, that parts per million goes below 3. And therefore, we don't have to put the warning on the label. Does that make sense?
Yep, excellent. I just wanted to make sure that people understand that, because I do get some feedback and a little bit of resistance when people see that. So thank you so much for repeating that. I think that's very valuable information that we need people to hear and understand. And this is why he's Dr. Dirt. He's like brains. So go ahead. Let's talk more about, the usage within the longevity products. So there's colloidal, there's powders, there's granules. Share a little bit more about how it's used.
So when we have the plant-derived minerals, it's made like sun tea, osmosis. So it's a high concentration in a purified water situation. And we actually make it twice the strength that's in our plant-derived minerals. That's because it's just easier to transport it that way. And when it gets to the bottling facility, we dilute it to the ideal amount of 1,600 milligrams per liter or 600 milligrams per fluent ounce. And we're able to break it down. When we want to make the mineral caps, we basically send the liquid to a facility that spin dries all the moisture out of it, 98% of the moisture, and it becomes a very fine powder. I want to compare it to baker's flour for cake flour. It's pretty fine. And we're able to then encapsulate it, and you can take it. Now, your stomach always has liquid and acid in it. And so when it goes into your stomach, it goes back into suspension of a liquid. And so the difference in absorption between mineral caps and the liquid minerals is marginal. I don't even think I can measure it. I would say the bigger variance will be is how healthy is your gut? Are you healthy? Can it break it down? Can it get into your bloodstream easily? That's more of a variable than the mineral caps versus the liquid. Same thing with the mineral sticks. It's the fulvic powder along with the Algae-Mins is the same way. It breaks down and goes into suspension almost immediately in your stomach, and then your body starts to absorb it. And so the difference between the mineral caps and the plant-derived minerals is relatively nothing. So if the other thing that people are always concerned about is I can't get my kids to drink the liquid and they only weigh 50 pounds. What do I do? You can literally take a mineral cap and give them half a cap and incorporate it into their food, and they're fine that way. And half a cap's a pretty easy measurement to do. Everyone can do it. If you're weird like me and you have scales, I can actually put it on a scale and measure out 300 milligrams or 200, 280. But most people aren't wacko like I am and have little things like that. But I actually have a small lab here that I get to play with. But it's just the way that you can do it, because the trick is just to get it. Now, I will give you an interesting comment. Steve and Michelle still drink Classic, Ultimate Classic, the liquid. They basically have been doing it for 30 years, and all their kids are doing it. And all their kids will just drink it straight. They don't think it's bad tasting because their parents didn't think it was bad tasting. Therefore, it was never educated into their brain that this doesn't taste good. And so they're fine drinking it. And Michelle just likes the convenience and likes the formula. Does he probably switched over to Rise and Restore? Probably, but I haven't been in her. Well, I have been in her house since we've had it out, and it was on her counters. And so I can't say that, but I guarantee if I open up a refrigerator door, I'll find Classic in there. And Steve is a big proponent of Classic as well as EFAs. He just really takes a lot of EFAs. And so those types of situations. And so I think there's one other thing that I want to mention. I'm actually going to bring up the mineral cap label again, because there's one thing that's kind of unique about it. And I've kind of made some argument on this. If you look at it, it says one capsule contains 300 milligrams of mineral caps. And under the directions, it will actually say take 2 capsules, because they want people to take 600 milligrams. I think that was the idea behind it. But you really don't have to, because with the aqua seaweed being as beneficial as the plant minerals, you're getting 580. And so I don't know why they made that change in the directions, but this label isn't up to date. But if you get a brand new bottle where it says 1 capsule here and 64 servings, that will change, and it'll be 2 and 32. But I don't think it's necessary to take that much. I was having a conversation yesterday with Dr. Joanne Conaway, and she just likes the idea of everyone getting more minerals than they need because they'll flush it out. And she says, I always have people take 2 fluent ounces or mineral caps, but then we had the discussion that really all they need is 2 mineral caps to equal 2 fluent ounces of the minerals, or be really close. And she agreed with me after we talked about it. And so it is a kind of going back and forth. But in my opinion, and so we'll make sure that Doc can correct me tomorrow, I think all you really need is 1 mineral cap, because if you look at the price, and I have the 4 bottle price up here, sorry about that. But if you add 2 bottles of liquid together, it's what? $46, $47. And one of these, they're about the same price. In fact, I think this one even has a little better value. And so if you're looking to try to save people money, the mineral caps might be a way to do that. Now I'll make sure to hit stop share so you see me again, and not forget while everyone's talking, because I'm famous for that on my other call. But you can do that. And so all these products, because we believe so much in the trace minerals, they seem to be in everything. They're in your OsteoFX, they're in Saxy, they're in 3.0, they're in 1.0, 2.0, 2.5, all the liquids, multivitamins. There's even some trace minerals in the tablets. And so it's kind of like our foundation. Instead of just putting purified water in there, why don't we put plant-derived minerals in there? Kind of just makes sense. And since Dr. Wallach is famous for plant-derived minerals and everyone knows him as the mineral doctor, it makes sense that us as a company, we use it as our foundation. So I guess that's my little 30-minute speech on plant-derived minerals. And Beck, I'll let you ask your second question.
What was my second question? No, so you're covering a lot of great information that we don't usually cover on the Daily with Doc show. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that study where he had gone into China, found that, people, you said it was heart disease, heart attacks, or cancer.
Cancer.
You had mentioned cancer in an area that had no selenium in their soil. So if you've got no selenium in the food that they're eating and a high occurrence of cancer, you got to connect dots, folks.
Yeah, it's one of those health claims that we passed through the FDA after a couple of lawsuits that cancer can help reduce cardiovasculars and certain cancers. And so that's why we got that in there. And really, the foundation of that whole health claim was that study in China. And you can literally go to pubmed.gov, which is the United States Congress Library for Medicine, put in selenium and find Doc's study in there. And you could take a look at it, and you can look at all the other studies that have been done on selenium. It's just a huge amount. We had an athlete a while back, I read in the newspaper, that died in his sleep in California. I think it was a high school kid. And they think he had cardiovascular problems. Well, one of the areas of selenium is cardiomyopathy, heart attacks. And if you're a farmer, you note it as white muscle disease in goats. And there they outright say it's a selenium deficiency, but we can't quite say it with that much definity on cardiomyopathy, heart attack. But he was in California. So I'll say odds on favor, he had no selenium in his drink. And we lost an athlete because, they work out harder, they sweat harder, and they don't replace the nutrients as much as even a couch potato. And that's a sad thing.
Well, and many of the times our athletes are basically drinking something with electrolytes that has 3 to 6 electrolytes and no selenium.
Yeah.
So we really need to create a more of an awareness on the importance of these minerals, especially, they're important for everybody, but especially if you are doing things that cause you to sweat.
Yeah.
Whether you're a farmer.
But the last business that wants you to do that is unfortunately the pharmaceuticals. And I know we're recording this call, so I have to halfway be politically correct. But they have expensive research and expensive drugs to help prevent certain cancers or help reverse them. And so Dr. Wallach, when he was doing studies with the monkeys, found some correlations that would help people, but he was basically banned from being published on that information because it would hinder, I think it was on sickle cell, I could be wrong on that, but it would hinder the pharmaceuticals. And so he was literally blackballed from doing research. And it was Dr. Schrouser that brought him out to California and had him started to speak to naturopaths, that he was able to start to talk about some of these things that he found in research. And so the friendship between those two became extremely strong because of Dr. Wallach's research back 40 plus years ago with Dr. Schrouser. And it's sad that that's the case, but we can talk about lots of conditions. We can talk about essential fatty acids and how it helps with your brain and helps with your heart instead of taking those things. Even little things like red rice yeast to lower your cholesterol versus a statin. If you want to be terrified, look up all the side effects of a statin drug. And it's the most sold drug in the United States that's a prescription drug. I think they sell more aspirin, but that's really an herbal drug, but we can't admit that. But the pharmaceuticals aren't ever going to let you get much out on that because they don't want to stop those sales. They want a residual income, just like longevity's distributors do with nutritional products. They want you on a statin drug for the rest of your life.
I think I would rather have longevity products promoting great health rather than a statin that continues to decline health and require more pharmaceuticals to mask the symptoms that those other pharmaceuticals are creating. It just blows my mind, Richard, and I know it blows your mind as well, and Dr. Wallach and many of the people that are listening to us right now. The expense that gets put into stopping people from using nutraceuticals, things derived from the earth that were put here for us to have great health, rather than the chemicals that they're wanting to use in order to mask the symptoms, because you're missing nutrients. It's
Yeah. What would be a perfect life is if we just started to put what we need back in the soil and eat more fruits and vegetables. I remember when I was growing up, we would go on picnics and we would always have those paper plates that were divided into 3 sections. And we'd always put a great big steak in the big section, and in the little section was a little salad. And then we would have a roll or corn in the third section. And that's we need to rotate the plate a little bit. We need to make the salad the big section and put the meat in the little section, and some green fruits and vegetables in that other section. And that would be a healthier diet. But even if we eat the best diet, organic, if you want to do organic, even though that just says no pesticides or herbicides that we can measure, even if you want to eat fresh from the farm that's up your neighborhood, I can guarantee you're not getting all the minerals. And, it would be a $4,000 test for me to test it, like we test our plant-derived minerals. That's why we don't do it on every batch, but we do it periodically. It's a $4,000 test. And the funny thing about it, the best people to do the test is Coors Laboratory for Coors beer in Colorado. They actually test their water down to that level, but not to plug them. But you just can't get it. And so even if everyone was on a tight budget, and everyone seems to be on a tight budget, because I don't care what the government says, cost of living is up. It just costs more to go to the store to buy groceries. Even if you just took plant-derived minerals and you're just getting more of the trace minerals, and that's all you can afford, that still should make a significant change in the quality of your diet. And if you just stay away from processed foods, if we just took that, because everyone talks about how much the products cost and what they have to sacrifice. And I said, do you buy gas for your car? Yes. And I go, well, you could ride your bike and spend it on nutritional products. It's not that most people can't afford it. They don't prioritize it to be important enough to take care of their body. They will buy better quality dog food for their dogs. Farmers, a good example, it's a good food, rather than do the same thing for themselves and not eat anything that's processed. And it's just a choice that we make. And I think we need to rotate the culture and try to eat better food.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you had brought up the bottle of plant-derived minerals. Folks, if you're going out to eat, one meal for an individual, if you've got your main course, your entree, your appetizer, and your drink, is going to be more than a bottle of plant-derived minerals. And this is going to last you a whole month.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not getting it in the commercial foods as far as fruits and vegetables. Now, longevity does offer the bloomin' minerals that can be amended into soils, especially for those of you who already grow your own food or want to grow your own food, no matter what the scale is, large scale, container gardens, it does not matter. The bloomin' minerals will help put those 60 plus minerals back into the soil so that the plants can actually deliver them to us, right?
Absolutely. And so if I do this, boop, that's how fast I can bring this stuff up. So there's the best way to work the blooming minerals or the soil revitalizer, which is what you see here, is twice a year. One is right now, after you pull up all the vegetables you're going to grow or whatnot, and you rototill or you churn your soil, you put some of this on top of your soil, then rototill it in, and then put plastic over your gardens. And if you've never done that, what that does is it basically bakes the minerals into the soil. Then when it comes springtime, you take the plastic off and you plant either starters or seeds in those areas. And then you sprinkle the blooming minerals on top of the soil. Because as you water, it will dissolve the minerals and take it down into the roots, and then it will go into the plants. The easiest way to show whether this works or not is pots of tomatoes. Do one with and one without and see which tomato you like better. And strawberries is the other easiest ones to do. And so the tomatoes, the funniest thing is if you grow your own tomatoes and use the blooming miracle and you get a ripe tomato and you put it in a pitcher of water, it's going to sink because it's so dense. And when you cut it open, it's richer, it tastes better, it's all those things. Well, that's the trace minerals that you're tasting in the tomato. If you go to the store and you buy a quote unquote vine ripened tomato, you see them, they're always in little bunches of 3 with the vine still on it. And you pull one of those off and you put them in the water, they float. And you can bob it and it will float every time. And then when you cut it open, you'll notice it's not nearly as dense as the one you grew. And that's because they have to pick it well before the product is actually ripe to get it to the store so it has shelf life for the store. And so you can do the experiment one year and see if I'm pulling your leg. You don't have to buy it in the 40-pound sack. We also have it. Oh, here, I need to do this. We also have it in a 2.5-pound jar if you have a small garden, and then a 4.5-pound bigger jar if you have some small area. But if you have a greenhouse, it's far more economical. Now, I will say this. Can you take this material and make sun tea out of it, make plant-derived minerals? And the answer is yes, but you're not purifying your water, and you probably don't have the chemistry equipment, unless you're weird like me, to measure it to see if it's at 600 milligrams per 30 milliliters of liquid to know if you're getting the right dose or whether you're low or whether you're high. So I don't recommend it. The other way that you can get our plant-derived minerals is that you can actually get it in a 55-gallon liquid barrel. And we're finding that some of the Amish families and some of the Midwest families that grow a lot of their foods, and then they sell it to Whole Foods and some of the premium stores. They have a spraying system in their greenhouse, or they spray it on their plants via their equipment, and they have a drip system that it's beneficial. And you can get it that way as well, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you're playing with more than an acre. And then I'll probably send you off to someone that works with those people that has been doing it for years and years and years and knows exactly how much. But I could tell you it's amusing because Whole Foods, the people in the Midwest was buying all their vegetables, and the Californians came out and was having a conference with them, with the managers of the Midwest, and they noticed how much better their vegetables were via the California vegetables, which were supposedly great and done. And they asked what the difference was. Well, we get them from these farmers. And then all of a sudden they started a price war with their own company because the Californians wanted the same product in California and the families couldn't produce enough. And so supply and demand's there. We've also done the strawberries in Japan. And there's some case studies on that. And in Japan, it's kind of unique. I met the farmer. They have different grades, and I'm going to say it's like 1 through 10, just to keep it simple, we can understand. And if you have a number 1 strawberry, you get this much a kilo, because they're metric over there. And if you get a number 10, it's not worth nearly as much as a kilo. Their spots where they grow their food are much smaller lots, and the family depends on that rating system to produce enough money to feed their family. And if they have 7, 8, 9, 10s, they can't do it. They have to get other jobs. But if they get 1, 2, 3, they can. And so we had a farmer that was averaging 9, and we gave him the plant-derived minerals to do the test, and he did it exactly the way we asked him to. Half his field, he used the minerals, half his field, he didn't. The field that in 1 year, or just 1 feeding, not even the 2 feedings, the 1 feeding, he was able to get a number 1 rating on the field that had the soil revitalizer. And on the field he didn't, he got another 9. And the only difference, same amount of watering, the only difference was the soil revitalizer. And that sold him, and it sold it to all his neighbors, and they all did it so that they could produce number 1 strawberries in Japan. And so it just gives you an idea. It can really make a difference in your garden. It can really make a difference in all the food that you can eat. And the best way to do it, there again, is 2 supplies. In the fall, you incorporate in the summer, and then you let your soil rest and bake. You put the plastic on it because it increases the temperature of the soil. You can poke some holes in it so that it still doesn't dry out. And then when springtime comes around, plant your starters, plant your seeds, and put more on top. And then as you water your plants throughout, you can bring the minerals down into the roots, and then it goes into the soil. The third thing is that you can take the plant-derived minerals and you can dilute them, and you can literally spray them on the leaves or the flowerings of your eggplant or your zucchini or your squash as it begins to flower, and then as it develops, and then get more minerals in the finished vegetables that way.
That, I think, between being intentional and putting it into our diets through supplementation and then growing our own food, I mean, that could definitely make a huge impact on the epidemic of some of the most poor health conditions in the United States, but around the world. So we just solved a worldwide problem, folks. Minerals in our bodies, in our soils, more in our food, and let's just all thrive together. And one thing that you had mentioned with the plant-derived minerals, they go through a pasteurizing process, so that if we incorporate it into something that's hot, it's not going to change its nutritional value. Am I reading that right?
You're reading that right.
Okay, so we can add more minerals into our diet, no matter if we like things cold or hot. We're growing, or we don't want to grow and we just want to get the stuff and put it into our bodies. We can do that as well. Now, this is the time that this program is not meant to take the place of your primary care physician, nor is it meant to treat, diagnose, or cure disease, nor are the products meant to treat, diagnose, or cure disease. The FDA does require us to say this. But folks, when you're working with a doctor who has sued the FDA 8 times and won to make health claims in regards to the importance of nutrients, you got to pay attention. And that's absolutely what this program is all about. Now, AJ, of course, has a question. So let's bring AJ to the screen with us. And AJ, what question do you have for Richard or Dr. Dirt today?
Surprise, surprise. Well, I got a couple questions, because you talked about the revitalization of the soil. once you use one application of the plant-derived mineral or the soil revitalizer, does that last season to season, or you constantly using the what's the duration of the minerals?
You should incorporate it twice a year, every year, because as your plants take it up into the flowering vegetable, it's taking it out of the soil. So incorporating it back into the soil every year ensures you that you can do it. You know, I also saw a blurb down in the comments that what if I have multiple acres? You can actually get this soil revitalizer by the pallet. You just have to contact Longevity on doing that, but you can get it in large amounts as well as 55 gallons. The other thing I'll mention really quick that I'm surprised AJ hasn't hit me up on is that do we have how long will the minerals last? You know, at our mine.
Well, that
we
one.
have we have years and years and years. I'll be gone long before it. AJ will be gone long before it. But just to let you know, Steve Wallach actually has patents on Plan B already on a source that will never go away. So even if for some reason we were no longer able to get from the Utah mine this material, we would not stop making plant-derived minerals. We have another method that we've already designed and come up with that will never have a shortage of.
Wow, that's good to know. And then, given that the Cheri-Mins and the strawberry Kiwi-Mins taste so good, is there an issue there? I mean, should I only be using straight plant-derived minerals, or I mean, I really love the Cheri-Mins. So what is there any downside with the flavoring that's there?
The only downside is how much sugar you're taking into your body during the course of the day, and you don't want to take too much sugar. And there is some in there because it is a natural cherry extract that we use in the product. And so that's my only concern. Other than that, nothing.
Fantastic.
And the price point's a little bit more.
Yeah. But well worth it. And thank you very much, as usual, for all the great info.
Yeah, it's only like $2, $3 as far as the price. So folks, if you're looking for minerals and you want something that's great, look at the Kiwi-Mins, the strawberry Kiwi-Mins or the Cheri-Mins, or I really am liking the mineral sticks, because not only am I getting my minerals, I'm also getting collagen, which is great for the skin as well, and all connective tissue. We have one more hand up, and Ruth Ellen, what questions do you have for Richard today?
Hello, and thank you again for being on the show today. We always love having you on because you're a wealth of information that is priceless. So I have a question from YouTube from Harry, and he says, does drinking seawater benefit the body the same as our plant-derived minerals? Is there a huge difference in the molecule size of the minerals? Blessings, Harry the Flying Angel.
I think you'll find out, and you can read very quickly, if you drink seawater, you will become dehydrated, and if you use it as your primary source, you'll get sick and you have potential of dying. So I would not recommend seawater. But as far as eating kelp and seaweed, things like that, there will be more minerals in those garden foods, and I'll call them garden foods because it's a sea garden, than we have on our land. And so I'll tell you, don't drink seawater. But if you want to eat seaweed, things like that to get the product, you can do that. But remember, we know exactly how much of what's in that bottle, and we are very careful to make sure that what we want is what you get.
Thank you.
Awesome. And we have Nancy with a question. Nancy, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for all your information. Now, when you made that comment about the sugars and the supplements, I guess I just want to know what is the maximum amount of sugar that you recommend? Because although I've cut out all sugar, I periodically sweeten some of my yogurts if I want a dessert with maple syrup, and I'm thinking that might not be allowed either.
So as far as sugar, I like to keep myself at 25 grams or less a day. Some people are sensitive to sugar, and 10 milligrams will give. If all of a sudden you eat something and you start to sweat and things like that, that means you probably ate too much sugar, and that particular item rushed into your system too much, and it probably isn't good for you. But you know, it all depends on your body mass. Elephant can eat more sugar than a rat, you know, and so we have to kind of look at everything. And I just want you to become a label reader. There's lots of yogurt out there that has fruit and whatnot in it, but they put sugar in it, and it has a huge amount of sugar in it. And then there's some Greek and some normal other yogurts that are unflavored and unsweetened, and they're much healthier for you. And personally, I'd rather have you chop up some strawberries and put it in a non-sugar added yogurt than eating yogurt with strawberries, because I know they put sugar in that.
All my yogurt is 0 sugar. It's all either plain yogurt, and occasionally I'll get the vanilla, but not even that. I don't do that very often. I usually put my own vanilla. And papaya, I find papaya has been very good for sweetening it too. That's like super sweet. So now that being said, 20 milligrams a day, should I be watching out for the amount of sugar? And I don't think I have an issue. I sweat all the time, but I don't think it's the sugar. Or if it, should I watch the amount of sugar in my fruits?
You know, I think the older we get, the less.
I'm sorry, a diabetic theoretically can't eat that much fruit either.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions, Becca?
So let's go. And you were started to say the older we get.
The older they get, our sweet tooth isn't quite as active. If I tried to get my grandkids to eat just 25 milligrams, they probably go within the withdrawals. You know, I know every year during this time of the year, I offer them huge amounts of money. I usually offer them $50 if I get their trick or treat candy. And they just grab onto it and says, no, it's not worth it. And I kind of go, well, yeah, it really is. But, you know, I guess I have to up it. I can afford it, but I wish they wouldn't eat so much.
Yeah, I understand that as a grandparent. I understand that as a parent of still a child still in home. Yes. So one more question, or a comment rather. Hunter out on YouTube says the Whole Foods info was fascinating. I go to the one here in St. Louis, so he was delighted to hear what you had shared in regards to the Whole Foods and the suppliers and the farmers in that area. So great. Thank you so much for commenting that. And the next question is athletes. Do they require more sugar?
No.
They
require more nutrients, but I'm not gonna put sugar in that nutrient family. They need more trace minerals. They need more major minerals. They need more vitamins because they sweat it out. So they need more than the average person or the couch potato.
And then we have another sugar question, Richard. Question is, which sugar is better, brown sugar, raw sugar, or white sugar?
So the whiter it is, the more processed it is. And so I would say naturally organic brown sugar is probably the best if you're going to do sugar. But being a baker as well, you know, I'll use various sugars depending on what I make. My grandson is getting his bar mitzvah, so I'm making a baklava cheesecake for the pre-dinner. And I'm going to use honey in it instead of sugar, but there'll be a little sugar in that too. So I cheat, I'll be honest with everybody.
I'm over the mountain from you. Can I come over and get a piece of baklava? Baklava is like my all-time, but of course it's not gluten-free, so I very seldom. Well, Richard, it has been an honor to have you here with us today on Daily with Doc. Thank you so much. It's because of you and the individuals that are coming on the screen with me that we are able to provide a show that is offering valuable information that is empowering. There's so many things that are disempowering, taking our powers away from us, making us think that we can't do it on our own. And Richard, because of the work that Dr. Wallach has done, you have joined him in that work with Steve and many others and formulated products that can actually benefit the body, knowing exactly what we're putting in, as Dr. Wallach figured out what it is that we need. So thank you, Richard, again, for sharing about the minerals and what sets us apart from other wellness companies. Because, I looked up a statistic before the show that had to do with, in 2022, the wellness industry was a $5.8 trillion industry. And it's projected by 2027 to be more than $8 trillion industry. Well, folks, it's an industry that's continuing to grow. It's an industry that needs more and more people knowing how to help others in finding better health. Richard has been part of this crusade for decades. And we would like to invite each and every one of you hearing my voice to be part of this crusade as well. Get back with the person that shared this program with you. They cared enough about you to share it. And tell them what you liked best about the program. Ask them how you can get involved in improving your own health and how you can be part of the crusade to help others find a better health journey as well. Now, if you're not working with anybody, nobody referred you, make sure that you give us a call at 855-949-3377. Again, that's 855-949-3377. Get in contact with one of the certified holistic health coaches, and they'll be able to answer your questions in regards to those 3 specific areas. And the recommendations that are given are those recommendations that have been recommended for the individual based on symptoms by Dr. Joel Wallach. AJ, you want your question now or after I introduce the crew?
I'm so sorry. I just need to know, how do you make the baklava flaky? I mean, you mentioned it.
You sprinkle water on top before you bake it, and that will make it crunchy on top.
There you go. All right.
We need the recipe. We need.
Yes, we do need a recipe, and we're working on making a gluten-free cookbook. So we're taking like the best recipes that people just absolutely love, and then we're going to be converting using different ingredients that are gluten-free and lower in sugar to put this recipe book, cookbook together. So folks, if you've got recipes you absolutely love, shoot them over to us. We're going to be including recipes from all of our listeners. And even if they're not gluten-free yet, we're going to make them gluten-free. Send those to recipes@dailywithdoc.com. Now, on the team today, we have Ruth Ellen, who is the executive production manager, helping to make sure that the stream is set up and pulling it all together, pushing it all out. Ruth Ellen is the woman that does that job. So thank you so much, Ruth Ellen. We have Albert joining us from South Africa, letting people in and keeping an eye on things for us as questions are coming in, sharing them also so that we can get those questions asked. Thank you, Albert. We have Cheri, who is part of our tech team. She is helping set up the Rumble, the YouTube, and the Facebook, and making sure that everything is getting streamed out properly and keeping an eye on the different platforms. Thank you, Cheri. We have Marilyn, who, if you're live here with us, folks, and you've got that chat open, Marilyn is the woman behind the fingers that is putting that information as she is dictating information and repeating those key notes that are being spoken within the Daily with Doc program. That is available only if you are here live with us. So again, if you want to catch the whole thing, you want to make sure that you join us Monday through Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific time by going to zoom.dailywithdoc.com. And we have Coach Rod, who is checking out all the platforms, keeping an eye on stuff, and helping bring in questions as well as he sees them and letting people in. Thank you so much, Rod. And we have AJ Sportis out there in social media land, who is responsible for helping us get on all of these different platforms, getting the account set up, telling me, okay, Becca, we need this one, this one, this one, this one. And we work together in getting everything set up so that we are meeting people where they're at. And folks, it doesn't matter where you're at. You need nutrition. We have found the solution and the nutrition that actually works, that you can feel within your body most of the time from the moment that it touches your lips. And it's a good feeling, okay? It's not a bad feeling. But folks, we invite you to give us 90 days, feel the difference that quality nutrition can bring. And if you'd like some more information in regards to the research and the doctor that is behind all of this, you can find Dr. Wallach, Dr. Joel Wallach, and all of his publications on his website at drjwallach.com. You get an idea of what what books you're looking at. And if you really want to dig deep into the minerals around the world, Dr. Wallach put this one together called Rare Earths Forbidden Cures, a great book that talks about minerals around the world. And it has a lot of studies giving the composition of what is found in soils from different locations around the world. My name is Becca Dukes. Thank you so much for joining us as the Director of Student Services for the Institute of Holistic Health. We invite you to become a certified holistic health coach. Go to coachwithdoc.com. You'll find more information about our coaching program. You can get started there. And if you'd like to save 50%, make sure you give us a call at 855-949-3377, and we'll help you become a certified holistic health coach today for half the cost. Again, that's 855-949-3377, and tell the coach that answers the call saying, I want to be part of the certified holistic health coach family. So Richard, once again, thank you so much for bringing all this dynamic information and allowing us to be able to share your scientific chemist mind with the world so that they also can be more educated on the importance of minerals. Thank you. Well, everybody, have a fantabulous day. Share this program with somebody that you know and love. And again, if you're out on the different social media platforms watching us somewhere and there's a way to send us a note, let us know where you're joining us from. If you're on the live stream or the replay, you can put that in there as well. And do hashtag Daily with Doc, hashtag Daily with Doc in the comments so that we can bring more awareness for others to the importance of nutrition. Until next time, bye for now. Oh, AJ, is there a Bin Bites coming up this week?
I don't know, but Dr. Wallach is on tomorrow.
That's right. Dr. Wallach is on tomorrow and Thursday, and we're going to be talking about cofactors, as you hear Dr. Wallach mention that often. So, folks, until next time, bye for now. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health.